Tottenham TV, another match day is upon us. We got a lot.
It's been a few days to see Tottenham play. It's been nice.
Yeah,
We've been slap up meals. We've launched a new app, website. It's been a brilliant few days.
Rob Pickering absolutely doing bits.
It's been a great
on
few
the
days.
website. Absolutely doing bits. The song that we saw online, Rob Pickering, website never looks so good.
So good, so good, so good.
That's how good. But look,
I watched the training yesterday. It's reeled me back in.
Yeah, has it?
Has it? Back in. Yeah, I saw some one-touch play again.
We shall see how much it's reeled you back in when you make your match prediction. That's when we'll see how much it's reeled you back in. But before we get into the nitty-gritty of the game, let's start off with a Tottenham update let's start off talking about the fixture rescheduling, as the Aston Villa game has now been rescheduled to the Sunday 7 p.m. kickoff, which Sports Trust ain't happy with. Certain fan groups not happy with, because it leaves people with not many options to get back home after the game. However, Dale Johnson was saying on social media last night that Villa's home game against Tottenham has been rescheduled, like I mentioned. It gives Villa an extra day's rest before the second leg. However, it could play into our hands a little bit, as the Premier League has scheduled Nottingham Forest to play away to Chelsea on Monday the 4th. That leaves 3 days before their second leg of their Europa League semi-final, and it will be the one time this season that Europa League or Conference League game has been scheduled on a Monday.
I think it's happened to us before, hasn't it?
It definitely has happened to us.
Didn't it happen last season? No, I'm trying to think.
I think it might be one of the group stage games it happened, but regardless, this season it's the first time it's happened. And yeah, that could play into our hands. You know, Villa, Nottingham Forest went off with a few injuries last night as well. 3 injuries in the game.
Who's got injured?
Chris Wood, Callum Hudson-Odoi, and there was one more as well. I can't remember who.
Definitely injuries?
And Murillo.
Definitely injuries.
Well, I mean, Hudson-Odoi did not look happy at all. Chris Wood went off in the first half, and Murillo definitely went off holding something as well. So I don't know what the extent of the injuries are.
I think both things, the fact that Villa and Forest went through yesterday, definitely plays into our hands, because I think definitely the more distractions for Nottingham Forest, the better for us. And as you say, the fact that they're not going to have much rest, I think they are going to. I think before this round, maybe they could have afforded to rest a few players in the Europa League or whatever. You could maybe juggle both, but now you're playing a Premier League team, playing Aston Villa, who are in the top 4 at the moment in the Premier League. You kind of have to pick. Are you going to go?
Last week.
Are you going to pick? Are you going to go full strength at Villa game, or are you going to go full strength at Chelsea game? So I don't think they can win both, mixing and matching. They're going to have to go full strength. So if they go full strength in that Europa League game, I definitely think that could definitely suffer for the Villa game in the Europa League, and for the Chelsea game in the Premier League, which would be great for us. In terms of Villa as well, the fact that they've got that little bit of distraction, you know, top 4, as much as they're in a commanding position, we'll have to see where they are when we play them. They're not going to want to take it for granted. They've been burnt before, haven't they? Like last season, they missed out by, a point. They don't want that to happen again. So if it's still fairly in the balance, come the game we play them, they might, we'll see whether they take it seriously or not. If they're well clear, then maybe they'll rest players for our game.
Look. Aston Villa, if you're watching this now, remember the back end of last season when we were going for the Europa League. We played you in that stage and we rested majority of everyone. So it's time to return the favour. Do you reckon we can even capitalise on it? Even if they do rest everyone. But on the flip side of that as well, Crystal Palace were seen partying till the early hours of the morning yesterday in Florence, and they had a few significant injuries in the game as well. I heard Adam Wharton went off, and Mateta went off at half-time, and someone else went off as well. So yeah, it wasn't great watching that, seeing as they've got West Ham this weekend.
Yeah, I think West Ham will be looking at their lips, looking at that, thinking, you know, they're not going to be, might be a bit worse for wear.
To be fair, though, going out on a Thursday night, for Monday night, you should be completely fine.
Wasn't for us when we played Brighton.
Yeah. Well, they were on a 3-day binge. Like, they're not going to be in a 3-day binge.
Yeah, true. So let's hope they'll be all right. Let's hope they take it seriously. But they are in a very good position in the league. They're pretty safe. They know that their season is that Conference League, isn't it? So I hope they don't take their eye off the ball and give West Ham a game. But West Ham was very happy with what they were watching, I think, on Thursday.
Absolutely. Let's move on. Let's talk about the team news as relayed by Roberto De Zerbi in the press conference. He says that he doesn't want to push James Maddison as we used Kudus in this way, and therefore has refused to set a timeline on his return. He also mentioned that it's better to lose a game than lose a player. ITK on social media, SZY, says the expectation is that James Maddison could return in around 2 weeks to first team action. So that would bring him back for the Leeds game, I would imagine.
Leeds, yeah, which would be great if he can come back into contention for that game. But in terms of what he's saying about Kudus, I mean, so frustrating to hear that. Obviously, as fans, and I'm sure as De Zerbi joining the club, he was desperate for Kudus to rejoin the team because we need wingers and we need players available. He was probably pushing him hard to, get him fit. We heard he was going to be fit after the international break and during that international break, and then it got delayed a bit, and he was set to be in contention for the Sunderland game. But then we heard a few days before he pulled up with a reoccurrence of the injury, and now he's out for another 3 months. So to hear De Zerbi kind of basically admit we pushed him too hard, we tried to force him back too early, and now we're in a situation which obviously this club has been guilty of before. We did it last season with Romero, Van de Ven a couple of times last season. So it's not the first time this has happened. Obviously, Ange got the brunt of the blame last time out. Is it a pattern with this medical team that they're getting their timelines wrong and they bring back players too early, or are we pushing players too hard to come back too early and putting too much pressure on them and forcing re-injuries? There's a clear pattern now of getting players back, trying to get players back and then getting re-injured with the same injury. And I don't see how that can't be on the medical staff, how that can't be their remit to make sure when players are coming back, they're coming back fit and not re-injuring the same injury that they've just got. I think it's ridiculous. So to hear that is very, very frustrating. If we would have given him maybe a 1 or 2 more weeks rest, maybe we could have had him for this game or the game after this. So, I mean, it boggles the mind how we've done this again, essentially.
Yeah, look, I think it's a different situation now as it was under Ange Postecoglou, and it's also a completely different medical team as well. So it's hard to pin it on anything. I don't know.
Doesn't matter if it's a different medical team, it's a pattern of our medical team doing it.
Yeah, but apparently, from what we heard, is that Ange actually ignored the advice of the medical team in certain situations last season. So we don't know if it's consistently the medical. We don't know. We don't know the situation. But right now, as of who's to blame, the medical team or De Zerbi, again, we don't really know.
I don't know how it can't be the medical team. I don't know how it can't be. Yeah, he wasn't even playing. He was in training.
Yeah.
So he got injured. So if he's been rushed back into training and they've gone too hard with it, that has to be on the medical team. Surely there has to be a conversation there. I think it's ridiculous that this is being allowed to happen again, and it could cost us dearly. It could cost us dearly because he's one of our most important players right now that we need.
Yep, absolutely. He's also confirmed that Rodrigo Bentancur and Yves Bissouma are both available to play versus Brighton. He did say that on Bentancur, he doesn't know if he's going to start, but Bissouma is available and 100% more than the Sunderland game. However, Vicario remains out. So, yeah, look, positive on Bentancur and Bissouma. I think Bissouma adds something that we don't have in that midfield if he is, at his best. And Bentancur, I think, is a welcome return as well.
Definitely, I think both of them get experience in that middle of the park, a bit of maybe a strength, and definitely a bit more comfort on the ball, a bit more composure, which maybe the players that we got right now aren't offering, unfortunately. I definitely think Bissouma offers something very different, as you say. So I'm more excited about him coming back. I think his ability to take the ball under pressure and break through the lines with some of his passes as well, I think it's just something that we haven't seen from any of our midfielders, and I think Bissouma is the only one who's shown at his best that he's what he's capable of in the recent past. Rather than I think Bentancur we haven't seen in a while, and all our other players haven't shown it at all. So hopefully Bissouma can get back to his best. I think he needs to be in the team. Obviously Bentancur, it's good to have him back, and then Vicario. It's interesting hearing his words about Vicario because He said that Vicario obviously is not fit, but he said he's a player he's excited to work with, and he's with good experience. And he said we're waiting for him. He said even though Kinski played well, he said we're waiting for Vicario. So I don't know how if I was Kinski, I don't know how I'd feel hearing that, because obviously you like to feel like if you're playing well and you've got your spot, you'd keep it. He's kind of implying that we're basically waiting for Vicario to come back and he'll be number one again, which isn't surprising. But I'm just saying, if I'm Kinski, I probably wouldn't feel great about that.
Look, the reality is Kinski has one good game. So I think Vicario is the club number one. And
yeah, but let's say he had a great game tomorrow, and and let's say Vicario's out for another game, he has another great game, why should he be dropped?
I think if he carries on having these great games, then I think there'll probably be a decision that have to be made, and maybe that can sway Roberto De Zerbi's mind. But as of now, Vicario is the number one, and Kinski's only had one good game.
I understand that, but he doesn't have to say it. He doesn't say we're waiting for him. He just says, yeah, look, Vicario not fit yet, and with the form.
I think he's just saying we're waiting for him, like we're waiting for all our players to come back. I think it's just something that he's saying because we've got players injured and we're waiting for them to come back.
I don't think he has to say we're waiting for him like that. I don't know the way he put it.
I think you're reading a bit too much into it.
I'm not. I think he's implying he's going to be our number one, which is not. Again, he is our number one, but if I'm Kinski, I'd feel like if I'm playing well, why should you be waiting for Vicario to come back? Why can't you rely on me? That's what I think if I'm Kinski.
Look, I think as of now we are waiting for Vicario to come back because he's the better keeper. Mm-hmm. So if Vicario comes back in 2 games' time and Kinski's still playing this way and he's putting in top performances, then another conversation will be had, and Roberto De Zerbi's decision might get swayed. But as of right now, time of making the press conference, we are waiting for Vicario to come back. Mm-hmm. Transfers. Spurs Journo and SZY last night claimed on social media that Senesi has agreed to be a Tottenham player under the condition that the club maintaining their Premier League status. Senesi ideally wants to stay down south, and he's been open to a move for THFC for several months. Game time is also a key factor. And then David Ornstein dropped the bomber this morning as well, saying that Tottenham are in advanced talk to sign Marcos Senesi as a free agent this summer, subject to retaining Premier League status. Nothing finalised, is still open, and interest in the 28-year-old centre-back from elsewhere, but Tottenham are the leading contender at present. I find this really interesting that Spurs are the leading contender for Senesi where we are right now in the Premier League table, when you've got teams that have been linked with him, like Chelsea, like Liverpool, like this one, like that, like top clubs, you know what I mean, fighting at the right end of the table. And like this guy has put Spurs at the front of the queue. I find it bizarre.
Let's just his agent talk about the other clubs to get Tottenham to put up the money to get him in, because I think he's a good centre-back. I really do. I think he's done really well at Bournemouth. He's recovered so well from that serious injury he had last season. And I, for one, given the situation we're in, I would take him 100%, especially if Van de Ven and Romero, or at least one of them, are leaving, which is very likely at the moment. I think we could do a lot worse in getting someone like Marco Senesi. Does it mean he should be starting centre-back for a team in the Champions League? Not necessarily. So I don't know how serious the interest from Chelsea and Man United is. And is it just all agent talk to try and get him a move to a bigger club? I know Tottenham, where they are, is awful, obviously, don't get me wrong, we all know that, and we're a mess. But it doesn't mean we're not a big club in our own right. And if he can come to us and obviously back us to improve, and it's obviously lovely facilities, all this kind of stuff, it could be a good club to be at for him, especially at 28. Maybe it's linking him to the likes of Chelsea, Man United might prick Tottenham's ears up, thinking, yeah, maybe we should be going for him more. So maybe it's just agent talk rather than anything else. But for me, I don't really care. I think he's a good centre-back, and I think we'll do well to get him, to be honest. I think on a free, it's a very good deal. But again, contingent on staying up, which at the moment is more unlikely than likely. So it's hard to get excited about it, but I'm very surprised that if it is true about Man United and Chelsea being interested, that he has chosen us over them, if that is the case. I
kind of feel like Spurs going for Senesi and seemingly quite close if we do stay up, I think it signals the end of Van de Ven, because Senesi, that's where he plays, left centre-back. And they're saying he's coming because of playing time. So he's not going to get much playing time if Van de Ven's going to be here. So I think it signals that Van de Ven is leaving the club. 28 years of age, Senesi, most recently in the last few international breaks, I think he's been called up to the Argentina squad. He's been place at the back with him on the left and Romero on the right. Look, I think he's a good player, and I think he's a player that will suit the way Roberto De Zerbi likes to play. So, yeah, I'm in favour of it, to be honest. But it's like Spurs, we're going for all these free transfers right now, aren't we?
Yeah.
Robertson left back, Senesi left centre back.
I wonder why.
I wonder. Anyway, let's move on and let's talk about Guillermo Vicario, as Matt Barlow of Daily Mail says that Inter Milan are confident of striking a £20 million deal for Vicario. We've spoken about Vicario in Inter Milan so many times. He's been linked together pretty much the whole season. But 20 million, how do you feel about that?
It's not a great deal, but it's not. You're not going to get him that much more.
We
than
signed
that.
him, what, 17 million or something?
So you get a bit of profit, but it's. I mean, in an ideal world, he's probably worth somewhere between 25 and 30. But I think right now, I guess maybe it's a buyer's market. I mean, we're not going to get too much more than that. And if he wants to leave, we don't have much leverage if we want to sell him, unless De Zerbi turns around and when he has him says, "Look, I actually like him. I want to keep him." Then all of a sudden, we have more leverage, because if Inter Milan want him, they're going to have to pay our price because we're not desperate to sell. But obviously, Vicario reportedly wants to leave. He wants to go back to Italy. Reportedly, we're not interested in keeping him that much. So I think 20 million makes sense. But I guess we have to wait and see what De Zerbi thinks, because De Zerbi hasn't seen him play for us yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he says he likes him. Obviously, he's going to say that, isn't he? But I think you got to remember, in Ange's, last 2 seasons, to be honest, he's been pretty good. The major failings have been mainly this season. I think there have been flaws in him, even in his first 2 seasons. Don't get me wrong, he hasn't been the perfect keeper. But I think largely, when the season began, we were pretty happy with Vicario. I don't think anyone had any major complaints. I think no one was saying we wanted to sell him. And now all of a sudden, as the season's gone on, everyone's like desperate to get rid. And I understand it, because he's had a shocker of a season, like a lot of our players have. But how much has the hernia played into that? He's been playing through that. How much is having a different manager who doesn't want to play the football that we want played into that? Because as much as people say he's awful at playing out the back, which I don't disagree with, when we did have Angie, it wasn't that much of an issue. Like he wasn't like giving balls away all the time.
It was always a conversation, though. It was always a conversation.
Yeah, the conversation was he's not as good as Raya or the top keepers.
The conversation was he's not as good as what we need him to be.
No, yeah, it was. It wasn't. For me, I always thought like Vicario was serviceable on the ball, but he wasn't like in the elite category. That's always what I felt. Now, since this season's happened, now he's like one of the worst in the league, and he's absolutely terrible, and he's constantly playing the ball out of play. But if you simplify it for him, maybe he is serviceable. And obviously, we know his shot stopping was brilliant up until this season, where it's completely fallen off a cliff. But again, is that down to that hernia he was suffering with that prevented him from making the saves he was making last season, or is there something deeper there, loss of confidence or whatever? So I think De Zerbi has to make that determination. If De Zerbi decides he wants to keep him, I'm not mad at it if he likes him, because I like Vicario. But at the end of the day, if we're judging on recent form and judging it from what we have seen this season, then we have to sell him if that's going to continue.
Yeah, look, I don't think it's always been I think it's always been a split opinion on Vicario, where some fans saying, you know what, he's all right, he's decent enough, and a lot of other fans, even last season, I remember saying he's not good enough, and not just him playing at the back, but his weakness from corners and set pieces, where he just seemed a bit too weak when trying to claim the ball and being shoved around a bit too easily. You remember that game against Everton, remember games against Arsenal, it's happened quite regularly last season.
Yeah, but that was his first season. He had those problems, which definitely was a problem. But I thought last season it wasn't that much, like the set piece stuff. I don't think there was that much of an issue last season. I remember when he came back from that injury, and he was quite good. I mean, before that injury, I remember he just had his best game when we beat Man City at the Etihad. He was absolutely brilliant in that game. Look, I'm not sitting here saying I definitely want Vicario to stay. I'm just saying I think I wouldn't rule it out. Is my point. I wouldn't rule it out if De Zerbi takes a look and thinks, you know what, we've got a good keeper here. With the situation we're in, can we even get a Verbruggen or whatever who we want? Maybe we can. If we can, let's get him in. If not, I mean, we could do a lot worse with Vicario if he gets back to what we had when we first got him.
Fair enough. And last but not least, we're going to talk about Archie Gray. Been a couple of interesting updates on him. Matt Barlow saying that Liverpool have eyes on signing Archie Gray in the summer if Tottenham are relegated from the Premier League. A less reliable source, Give Me Sports, says that Archie Gray is reportedly considered untouchable by everyone at Spurs and is expected to be lured into staying at Spurs even if they should be relegated. It's understood that Gray has no reasons to leave the club, reportedly is happy at Tottenham and wants to give his best on the pitch to help improve the club's dire situation. Very interesting if Liverpool come in from in the summer.
Yeah.
Writing's on the wall for me if Liverpool come in.
Yeah, I think he probably goes to Liverpool. I mean, depending on how much they offer, because I think someone like Gray, depending on who else we sell and how much money we drum up from other sales, I think someone like Gray is going to be one we earmark to keep. I think, regardless, he's going to be one we're going to try and build the future around because he's a young player we've invested heavily in. So it's going to take a hefty offer from Liverpool to get him in. But if they do offer it, I think it's going to be hard for us to turn it down. And it's going to be hard for Gray to not look at that and think, yeah, I mean, that's a great move for me. I hazard a guess. I think if we go down, I think Gray stays. I don't think he goes anywhere. And I think we build the future around him. I don't think Liverpool come in with a big 50, 60 million pound bid. I don't see that happening.
Well, I mean, they would have to. We signed him for 40 million.
That's what I'm saying. So I think they're going to try and get him because we're down, where they're going to try and get him on the cheap, like, put in a 30 million bid or something, test the waters. And when we say no, they probably go somewhere else.
Yeah, look, maybe. But I think that he's proven this season, in my opinion, that he's a Premier League player. He's proven that he's got a very big future. Not the perfect player, obviously. He's still got a lot of growing to do and a lot of maturing to do. But I still think for his age, he's showing big signs of maturity. So I wouldn't be surprised if big clubs, definitely Premier League clubs, are interested in him this summer. But I do think, probably in this current market, he's worth around 40, 50 million at this current moment in time. And I doubt that Liverpool would scoff at that, to be honest, with the amount of money they're spending. And they're talking about some midfielders leaving this summer as well. I saw some reaction from Liverpool fans on the post on social media, and they were all bang up for it. They were like, oh, this Archie Gray is phenomenal. Watch some of his performances this season, especially against big teams like Atletico Madrid. And they were saying, get this guy in, 50, 60 million, pay the money. But will Liverpool actually do that? Who knows? But look,
he doesn't start for Liverpool though, does he?
No, he won't start, but he's 20 years of age. So he'll still see significant game time with all the competitions that they're in. And you never know, in a couple of years, he could be a starter. So, look, that is the Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding all the news stories that we have brought you today. Let's move on and let's